not going to pay overtime. Think again. Buckle up, it's a good one, and a long one. Let's call him Bob. Bob has been working with computers since he was a kid, and knows them inside and out. Like many people in information technology, he's moved from job to job. The company he worked for was in service and distribution, and they had 2 people in the information technology department. The company was located in Ontario, Canada. About 3 years ago, Bob's employer decided to modernize their software. They had separate programs for dispatching, inventory, payroll, and finances, and it was messy trying to move information from one program to another. They decided to implement enterprise resource planning software, which handles everything in a single system. Bob recommended one that he already knew very well from a previous job. For those who don't know, enterprise resource planning software manages every part of a company: purchase orders, sales, inventory, human resources, vendor tracking, customer accounts, all of it. You can run a report and find out which customer has bought the most of part ABC in the last year, which salesperson improved the most, which vendor delivers the fastest, which warehouse packed the most orders. Everyone in the company used the system, but only the parts that applied to their role. For example, the receiving person would accept deliveries, verify the quantities, mark them as received, and those numbers would immediately update for the sales team. The receiver didn't care about pricing or who the vendor was. He just needed the system to record what he had received. Bob worked like crazy during the setup process, but after a few months, he had trained almost everyone, and things were working fairly smoothly. He still handled small software tweaks and occasional hardware issues, but nothing major. Then the company expanded into different time zones, and that messed things up. In Atlantic Canada, the time is 90 minutes ahead of Ontario, so if someone placed an order at 8 in the morning their time, it hit the system at 6:30 in Ontario. In Pacific Canada, it's 3 hours behind. An email sent at 3 in the afternoon in Vancouver would arrive at 6 in the evening. This stretched out the workday. People came in early, people stayed late. Bob would arrive at 8 in the morning and immediately have people needing help, upset that he hadn't responded to their messages that were sent before he even started work. Same thing at night. His phone would ring at dinner time with people demanding help, so the company changed things. They staggered shifts. Bob was told to start work at 6 in the morning and finish at 2:30. His coworker was told to start at 10:30 and work until 7. But that coworker had kids and refused. The employer insisted. The coworker quit. That left Bob as the only person in the information technology department. They said they'd find someone else, but they couldn't. No one else knew the system, and they were offering way below market salary. Bob asked for a raise. Denied. He asked for overtime. They said that information technology specialists are exempt from overtime pay in Ontario. Bob looked it up. They were technically right, but the work kept piling on. Bob started getting chewed out if he didn't answer calls or emails, even if they came before 6 in the morning or after 6 at night. He had to train new hires, he had to maintain hardware, and he still got no extra pay. So he started planning his exit, and here comes the revenge. Bob had access to the entire enterprise resource planning system. Every time an employee signed in, the system recorded the time. Even if they didn't manually log out, the system would automatically log them out after 15 minutes of inactivity. Most employees were salaried, and many of them were working well over 44 hours a week. But according to labor law in Ontario, salaried workers are still entitled to overtime if they are not in a managerial or supervisory role. So Bob ran a report for every non-managerial employee, going all the way back to when the system was first installed. Then he contacted an employment lawyer to confirm his plan. He lined up a new job, and after his last day, every employee got an email. Attached was a spreadsheet listing the hours they had worked beyond 44 per week. The subject line, "You are legally entitled to overtime pay." Inside the message was the lawyer's name and contact information. That's when the chaos began. Almost every employee authorized the lawyer to act on their behalf. The company had to pay out a massive amount of money. All they had to do was pay Bob fairly for the overtime he put in. Instead, they ended up paying nearly everyone.